So to get to the speaker housing, you need to take out the cargo flap and move the front seat, and then here's the armrest. There's a bolt down at the bottom that you'll have to take out. This clip here we just pulled straight up, and then the seat belt cover, you just pull that straight up. And then we use an adjustable crescent wrench to loosen the bolt there, and the rest by hand, of course, because it's faster. Sped it up here a little bit for you. And then there's a screw at the side of the speaker housing. Take that out with a Phillips screwdriver, and then so you can get to the dust and sound carpeting in the cargo bay. Pull that out from under the speaker housing, and you'll notice some of it is tucked up under the rubber water guard right above the screw there. So once you get the screw out with the Phillips screwdriver, then you can slide that carpeting out from under the rubber water guard. You'll notice some of these video clips are from the left and the right side of the car. I figured it'd waste your time to record both speakers, so we just use some clips from each side. And then once that carpeting is out of place, you can get to the speakers, and this speaker is held in place with 2 screws. When we reinstalled it, we used 4, so it wouldn't bounce around, have any vibrations. As you can see, this speaker is the wrong size, so whoever had this car put in the wrong size here. The watts were too small, and I don't know about weathering, but boy, can you imagine what the sound was like in this trashed speaker? So we're replacing it with the correct size 5x7s after we take out the leads, the speaker wires here. We of course disconnected the battery to the car because we're putting the head unit as well. And here's some 5x7s with a lot higher wattage, so they shouldn't blow. And again, putting in 4 screws to hold it in place. The little tabs that go under the screws, we had to kind of squeeze them a little bit to get that screw to grab it and turn more easily. And tightened all of those up. We put in, once those 4 screws are in place, we undid one at a time to put in, well, we used a weed guard to use as like a dust guard. And then screwed each of those screws in place, one across from the other, and then put that carpeting back in place, tuck it up under that rubber water guard, and then the screw there. And then once we get to the speaker housing, you'll see we had to put that plastic in place really slowly again so we don't snap the plastic. And then you see the holes there in the plastic speaker guard and the carpeting. Of course, we have to line those up with the car body to get that last Phillips screw back in place. Once that carpeting was in place, we're able to put the speaker housing back in place and tighten that screw up. And putting the plastic over that tab was a little more difficult. And then we put the arm backrest in place, slide that tab in, don't forget the bolt at the bottom. And now we get to the seat belt bolt. Tighten that as much as you can. Say with a certified mechanic, so we know it won't loosen while you're on the road. And then we put the cargo flap back in place and the seat, and you're good to go.
Okay, now that you've put in the rear speakers, we can move on to the front ones. We're starting by taking off the window crank using a ratcheting socket wrench. And then we used a really small flathead screwdriver to pry off the caps that are covering the armrest screws. 2 caps there. And then we used a Phillips screwdriver to take out the screws that are holding the armrest in place. You'll notice some of the video again is shot on the left door and some are shot from the right door since we did both speakers, and then there's another cap that we pried off on the door handle. Use a Phillips screwdriver to unscrew that. You can see the rectangular square around the door lever. We had to slide that sideways to get that off. We just don't have video footage of that. Once you got the screws out for the door handle and armrest, then you can pull that off. We actually pushed the door lock down, which helps us get off this panel. There are a bunch of tabs though all around the panel, and we used a large flathead screwdriver to pry it to where we could see the tab. And once we could see the tab, then we put a finger on both sides of the tab and pulled back until the tab came out. And then we took out the speaker in the same way that we took out the back speakers, a Phillips screwdriver, and of course still have the battery disconnected because we did the head unit as well. And then put in this new speaker after we attach the speaker wires and set it in place. You probably don't want to be pushing your fingers on the inside of the speaker there, just holding it by the outside hard ring. And once that speaker is in, we use 4 screws, and I'm just speeding up the camera now because we're doing everything in reverse to put the panel back in place. When you put those tabs in, you want to make sure that the black foam inside that door is sealed back in place. And then of course get back those Phillips screwdrivers to put the door handle and armrest in. And we put that rectangular frame around the door handle again. Got all the caps in place, and now putting in the window crank. Phillips screw again, and there was a cap on this window crank too. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that should help you out.